Chapter 10, Nutrition for Health. In this chapter, we're going to be spending a lot of time really talking about the importance of nutrition, some of the different elements that make up nutrition, where our nutrients should come from, and the amount of each. On this first slide here, it's broken up in a way for what we would want you to do is really to think about what are some of the foods that you really enjoy eating. So we would call those our favorite foods, and what are some of the ones that we don't enjoy. If you were to take just a couple of minutes and just think about the fact that, what foods is it that I really like and which ones is it that I dislike, but I also want you to think about maybe why do you like those foods? And I think it's important to think about that because many times when we like a food or we dislike a food, we tend to like it or not like it simply because of taste. But I think if we really take a step back and we think about texture, taste, smell, origin, family, history, etc., we find that there's a lot of foods that we like or we dislike when it's not just necessarily about taste. There certainly are some other factors that will play a role in the foods that we choose to eat as well. On this slide right here, we're looking at, we have some key vocab here. What is the importance of nutrition? As you can see, food affects your health and quality of life. Way back in our first unit, we had talked about the health triangle and how when one area is impacted, it's going to have an impact on other areas of health as well. Well, that's no different here with nutrition. When we eat, it certainly satisfies a physical need for us, but many times eating as well, it can satisfy an emotional and mental need. And a lot of times when we eat, we're also eating in social settings. So if food's going to affect our health, it's going to affect our quality of life. And it's just really important that we understand that there's really certain types of foods that we need to eat, and the importance of those nutrients as well. First vocab word, looking at nutrition, the process by which your body takes in and uses food. There are some key nutrients that we'll talk about later on in this chapter, but when we take in food, our body is going to use nutrients in different ways. We have protein, we have carbohydrates, we have fat, and we have vitamins, minerals, and water. Those are those main nutrients. And when our body takes those nutrients in, it's going to use it for energy, maybe store it for energy, use it in other parts of the body as well. But that's what nutrition is. Nutrients, once again, substances that are in our food and our body needs to grow, to repair, and to help supply us with energy as well. And the very last vocab word is looking at a calorie. A calorie is defined as a unit of heat used to measure the energy your food uses and the energy it receives from food. Calories in food provide energy your body needs for activities. Basically, what we have to understand is for each calorie, it is a unit of measure, it is a unit of heat, it is a unit of energy. Our body can really only get calories from three different nutrients. That's carbohydrates, that's protein, and that's fat. And it's going to be really important that we take in the right types of calories, and I guess the big key as well is we need to make sure that we balance our calories with our expenditures as well. What I mean by that is if I'm eating 2,000 calories today and I'm somebody who's trying to maintain my current weight, I need to make sure that I'm also burning 2,000 calories during the course of the day. And theoretically, I should maintain my weight. If I'm eating more calories than I burn each day, I'm going to gain weight. And if I am eating less calories than I burn, I'm going to lose weight. But balancing calories can be really important, and we'll be talking about this more as we progress through this chapter and into some of the upcoming chapters within this unit as well. Because it's just really important we understand is how many calories do we need just to maintain who we are. All right, why nutrition matters. Eating a variety of healthful foods can lower your risk of developing other conditions, including, and I'm sure that many of these that you've heard before as well. When we look at food and we look at what it is we're supposed to eat, we know that if we're eating unhealthy foods, we're eating too many calories, we're eating foods from the right sources, it could lead to cardiovascular disease. It could affect the functioning of our heart. It could affect our blood vessels. We could have narrowing of the blood vessels, more likely to have blockages and clots and strokes and things like that. There are certain cancers. We want to make sure that we're eating foods that are high in omega-3 fatty acids, because fruits and vegetables, because those are types of foods that have been shown to possibly limit or to prevent certain types of cancers. Stroke, we know that they can come from the narrowing of blood vessels, or we have weak blood vessels and we have a blockage or a rupture of a blood vessel that maybe occurs within the brain. And the very last one is osteoporosis. Osteoporosis does, or it is a disease that can develop later on in life. Females are more prone to osteoporosis than are males, but basically calcium, as we know, is one of the nutrients that we need to help prevent osteoporosis, or at least to help to delay the onset. But it's not just that as well. There is a strong link between nutrition and fitness. We also want to make sure that we're doing weight-bearing exercises as well. All right, nutrition and your health. If you look at these pictures right here, I'm quite certain that many of you would probably agree that these are pictures of healthy foods. But what I want you to do is just take a second here and think about, why do you consider them healthy? Do we consider them healthy because we've been told that they're healthy? What is it about the foods that make them healthy? If you notice in the bottom left-hand picture there, we're at a produce aisle. We're seeing lots of vegetables. We're seeing fruits. Okay? Typically, guys, not always, but the rule of thumb is the more colorful your plate, the better probably the overall meal is going to be. Fruits and vegetables are excellent food choices because they are low in fat, they're high in water, they're great sources of vitamins and minerals. They contain carbohydrates, so it's simple sugars naturally occurring, okay, in small amounts of protein. So these are excellent food choices. This is what we would call foods that that are calorie are nutrient dense, because they contain a lot of nutrients and they are relatively low in their caloric intake as well. Upper right hand corner, we've got our fruits, we've got our vegetables, we have some dairy. In the bottom right hand corner, we have a piece of salmon, which is an excellent source of protein, very low in fat, high in omega-3 fatty acids. All of these would be excellent food choices. Some things that will influence our food choices. We have hunger. Hunger is our natural drive to eat, prompted by the body's need for food. I think one thing that's important to understand is when we eat something, it takes approximately 20 to 30 minutes before our body really feels the effect of what we just ate. So it's going to be really important that, you know, a lot of dietitians will, when they're working with people who possibly might be trying to lose weight, a lot of times there's some basic things that people can do. You know, cut your food into smaller pieces. Completely chew your food before you swallow it. Use smaller plates, smaller cups, smaller glasses, because if we have smaller cups, plates, glasses, we're probably also going to have smaller portions. But also give yourself at least 20 to 30 minutes to finish your meal. That way you can feel yourself getting full as you're eating, and you're less likely to eat as much as you normally would. But hunger is that natural drive to eat, and obviously, you know, it's what lets us know that we need more fuel within our body. Appetite. Many of us might eat because of an appetite. You know, it's not so much that I'm hungry or that I need to eat. It's I really like the way that food tastes. I really like the way that food makes me feel. So it's a psychological desire for food, eating when one is already full and has no need to eat. We really need to know, or really need to learn, how to control our appetite. It's not to say that we shouldn't snack. It's not to say that we shouldn't have bites to eat in between meals, but we really want to be careful not to overdo it. And even more importantly is that when we are choosing to eat between meals, we're eating foods that are probably a little bit healthier than some of the foods that maybe we would normally eat. If you look at the bottom here, food and emotions. Eating in response to emotional need, like when you feel stressed, frustrated, lonely, sad, snacking out of boredom, or use food as reward. A lot of people will use food as comfort. Food can be a comfort food, whether it be ice cream or cake or potato chips or things like that. We want to make sure that we learn how to control our eating habits, and we're not eating because of an emotional need. As we see here in the fine print on the bottom, if we're eating because of an emotional reason, it can possibly lead to weight gain. On the other hand, if one loses their appetite, they may not eat, and this could deprive the body of the needed nutrients. Recognize your emotions is important because it can affect the way in which you eat. You know, some people, when they get stressed, they eat a lot. Other people maybe don't eat at all, and that can be true with a lot of the other examples as well. But food and emotions. If we look here, these are some things that might influence our food choices. You think of your family and your culture. There are just some cultures or some families that eat foods that you and I might normally would agree that they're not appealing, or they don't taste very good. But family and culture plays a really significant role on what it is that you choose to eat. Obviously, your friends are going to play a big role. We're always being challenged and always being pressured by our friends in a lot of different things. Time and money. Typically, it takes more time to eat healthy because you have to prepare it yourself, and to eat healthy, it is going to be a little bit more expensive. With the recession that we've had over the years, and lots of jobs and businesses closing up, the one industry that has made more money than at any other time in our history has been the fast food market, because fast food tends to fill people up and it is relatively inexpensive. So time and money will be an influence, and advertising as well. Companies wouldn't spend the money that they spend on advertising if people weren't going out and purchasing their products.